incorrect. Override denied. Your password is incorrect. Override denied. Program activated.
Welcome to another Username Nerd podcast. What just happened?
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. Well, so
You want to start over?
no,
Of course
never,
not.
Never.
Never.
Shoot,
Never.
that would be editing.
You know
and I
what's
don't do
really
that.
sad
The
is
wheels
that
are rolling.
the only thing that was wrong was with my headphones cord was wrapped underneath another
By
cord.
the way, that's Tim Hewitt speaking.
yeah, by the way, and it was really bugging me. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to, and I unplugged it and plugged it back in. That's the only thing it was. It's just
fine.
I'm so OCD. It
and you
drove me
could have done
nuts.
that the 5 minutes while we were off.
Yeah,
camera.
but I decided not to. So,
And with us,
hey,
we
welcome
have,
to Username Nerd. My
welcome to
name's
Username
Tim Hewitt. With me always,
my brother in real life
is
and in the fake world too.
Mike Hewitt.
You guys are brothers?
We are
Yeah.
brothers.
Did you really not know that?
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't edit that. That's,
I know,
This
I'm-
is like a moment.
Yes.
It's so hard
Good
to
stuff.
tell because
The
I'm the
realization.
handsome one and he's
By
the
the way,
ugly one.
this
but-
is whoa.
what?
Whoa.
This
Huh?
is episode
That's right.
99.
One more.
Next,
cow.
next week
One
is
more.
100.
The wheels
Only
are
took
still
us
rolling.
4.5 years.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's not bad. You're still running.
The
so.
worst thing is,
Thank
not the
you.
worst thing is, worst comic book podcast ever. They started like 2 years ago. They've passed us.
They're already at like 250.
I was like,
Yeah, so
oh.
what? Let them go.
Anyways,
But
that is
they're the
and that's
worst comic book podcast. So
Chris Polly.
Why,
is
hello?
with us.
That was Chris Polly there.
that was
I am here.
And then
And-
back with us is Andrew E. Wilson. How are you doing, Andrew?
Hello, good.
Good, good.
so last week we were talking about video
long
games
ago.
and we were talking about the transition between sort of 8-bit graphics and overhead, very dumbed down sort of sprite graphics compared to what we have now, and sort of that transition and process. But I know, sorry.
no,
What's
you're fine.
happening?
No.
Yeah.
You
So
just
we're
keep
gonna
going.
keep talking about that now.
One thing I forgot to say, one thing I forgot to kind of mention about Doom. I want to go back to Doom. Doom, the Doom for what?
Great. Going back.
That
You're good.
sold, I think sold 3 million. And what they were saying is with rental sales in the United States and taking out female gamers. Because there's not a lot of female gamers. Sorry.
Did somebody
Someone
just drop a
But-
bag of marbles on
No,
the
that is
ceiling
yeah,
above
that's
us?
my wife.
Okay.
That's my
Oh,
wife.
okay.
Because that's what I
Um,
just heard.
That's
door.
in my head. It's actually rocks.
All right, sorry. So I sold.
But during those 2 years of this game being out, 4 out of 5 boys played Doom. So pretty much every boy in the United States played Doom. I just thought throw that out there. I found a stat there. You go. Never mind. Anyways,
That's pretty amazing, huh?
done.
Statistics.
Done and done.
That's the kind of stuff you can come to expect here at Username Nerd.
No,
we
you're
know
the one that does the notes.
all sorts of stats about video games.
I'm gonna get some
My
water.
area.
Silent
I'm
lull.
good.
So
All right.
we were just talking about Midnight Club.
Midnight Club. That's right. That's what we left off on.
And then, so in that process, you created a lot of the cars.
Yes, I did.
And did you
I
do a lot of the
bel-
other environments as well, or just stuck to the
I
cars?
was not an environment artist
Okay.
on that particular game, but I did build 14 of the vehicles.
Now you said
I think it was 14.
you said that you had very strict restrictions on like what you had to do for the vehicle.
Correct.
Not very details. Did they give you any like freedom when it came to like the paint jobs or anything? Did you get to be like creative with that, or was it?
In fact, I don't know the answer to that question. Simply because about 3/4 of the way through completion, I left for Michigan for
I
Stardock.
blacked out. So about 3/4 of the way through production, I just blacked out. So I don't know the answer. Sorry.
That's just
Go ahead.
rude.
I'm sorry. I'm so
Being
sorry.
rude again.
We don't even get his jokes either.
Are you two brothers?
Yes. very much
Nobody
so.
gets my jokes. It's ridiculous. All right, sorry. You had to move.
I
to
got it,
Michigan,
actually.
right?
I just got it, I think.
and the light bulb goes on.
So,
You know.
so when you were at Midway, was that in Chicago?
Well, hang on. He had to move.
Well,
I
yeah, you
interrupted
moved
his
to
story.
Michigan, right?
I moved to Michigan to work for Stardock
Yes,
Corporation.
Stardock. But then Rockstar Games, was that in New York? Where were you?
No, in fact, we were there, Carlsbad, borderline San Diego
Okay, so you were in San
facility.
Diego.
Yeah, we were a different small San Diego facility.
And Midway I have is Chicago, but it was in San Diego as well?
Chicago's headquarters.
Okay,
Midway's
gotcha.
headquarters
Gotcha.
were
Gotcha.
Chicago.
Okay.
And then we were Midway Home Entertainment. Aside from all of their arcade development, we were their console
Okay,
studio.
Gotcha.
So we developed their consoles.
gotcha.
But also
So you were
couple-
pretty much in San Diego and in South California during this,
Southern California, yeah.
or Southern California. But then, so moving to Michigan was a big change.
It was a big change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had always wanted to be a competitive fisherman.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure. I looked
And
over
that
here
is-
to make sure we were recording,
Yeah.
and then I was
You heard
not.
that,
I was
yeah.
like competitive fishing.
Well, that is not at all.
That completely threw me.
right
okay.
out of left field there, but
Competitive
all right.
fishing.
Not laughing at you, laughing with you.
So did
I
you
get
did
it.
you fish on the beach?
So-
Is that not
No,
competitive?
that was relaxing.
Gotcha.
No,
No.
it was
You gotta get
so
professional at
tanning.
this
It's
fishing
awesome.
thing.
No, yeah, I moved out there to town on the beach.
Gotcha.
No, but I did move out there to take a job position as lead concept artist for a company called Stardock Corporation. And we were responsible for Galactic Civilizations, and I worked on Galactic Civilizations Dreadlords.
Which was a race in
Yes,
the game, right? Yeah,
it is like a strategy-based, terraform the planet game. It was really, really fun to work on.
It's probably my favorite genre of games, which is say goodbye. This is the name of the genre, actually. Say goodbye to the next 6 months, because you're just gonna be playing this game.
And that one, the IGN online PC Game of the Year.
Yeah, it's
one of those awards.
That's a very, very awesome game.
Yeah.
It is so much fun. I'm not much of a PC gamer other than like flight sims are my absolute favorite. But GalCiv is so much fun.
Oh my
The
gosh,
terraforming
it was
and
so
so forth.
much.
There's a
This
ship,
was-
ship I created.
I mean,
You remember the cutscene with these?
oh yeah, oh yeah. You bring it back.
Let me see.
I'm
So
bringing back
many-
memories of
Sorry,
30
so
years ago.
many memories
Oh
of
my
just.
gosh. Now, okay, I'm not an artist, but that looks way. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I guess building cars would be fun, but that looks really fun.
that looks
'cause
like
you can
where it
just
really comes fun. Which he just showed us
go, right?
a picture of a spaceship.
It was
which
fun.
is just-
In fact, this actually was one of the pieces of artwork that I think stimulated the company to get me out there and start up as one of their concept artists.
That's cool.
And this I built not as an in-game ship, but I built it as a cutscene ship. So that was part of an animation.
That's cool.
Oh my gosh,
So you did some of the cutscenes as well.
I did cutscenes as well for that game.
So, so doing those, now you kind of got a wide range. So what did you like the best? Did you like the cutscenes, or did you like, I guess, because
so not necessarily what project you
what
like
project,
the most,
but in that now
what
you've got multiple things in that project.
type
What did
of
you like?
artwork.
Isn't that amazing that you asked me that? Because I'd never actually thought about cutscenes versus in-game.
That's the kind of hard journalism we do here.
That's-
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Those gripping
What's this
questions.
place called again? Okay,
awesome.
no. To answer your question, you know what? It was all dependent on how creative I could get within either of those scenarios.
That's true.
Yeah, as a creative artist, I really didn't like to be nitpicked and art directed. And I think after so many years, the concept artists and leads and project heads understand that in a senior artist. I understand how to create. I understand how to do and the whole process from start to finish. now you know what, we're just going to give you the canvas and do exactly as good as you did last time. And that is like the epic
Level of
stage
freedom or whatever.
for a visual artist that
Sounds like,
wants to be
yeah.
creative.
So when it comes to cutscenes and everything else, I mean, did you have free range of
Yeah, 'cause
like I
obviously
want it
there's
to
like a
move
script.
like this, or is there somebody else directing you, or
Well, I think
Well-
because this seems more like a, especially let's say this cutscene specifically, it seems more like they just maybe gave you some base direction of like this is what we want to happen during this cutscene.
Mhm.
You use your interpretation for
You-
that.
you
na- you
had
nailed
very
it.
free.
You
Yeah.
nailed it.
I didn't know if it was like a comic where you have a writer, a penner, and an inker, where they kind of say, "I want them to look like this," and then they get the opportunity. Or I mean, so I didn't know how much freedom of how this ship goes, and also, I mean, the difference between a cutscene and part of the game where you see all sides of a ship or something else,
Right.
where the cutscene you get to kind of choose what you want to see
Yeah,
and
this
work
is the view
really
that
good on
the
that.
player's gonna
Like
see.
when you
Give it
take
that
a
best angle.
when you take a picture, you have that. This is my good side, and
Right.
you can kind of do that with a cutscene. Did
Right. Well, when a visual artist is given the opportunity to create a cutscene, they're designing a full-blown movie short
Yeah.
for a video game. So that is like epic responsibility. But you want to achieve, your personal best in doing so, because that thing is going to be a film that so many
yeah.
people are going to see as part of their entertainment.
Yeah. And this game has huge marks. I mean,
Oh, yeah, it
broke
was-
all kinds of.
And I mean, and it was honestly because I remember sorry, Stardock was the production company. They made a bunch of other games that I've played as well.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you said Stardock, like I instantly recognized it. But
Twinkle in his eye.
huh?
Twinkle in your eyes.
Man,
Said-
really, like seriously, because I've played so many games from them, which now, of course, I can't think of any of them. But
Well,
Uh,
they did
So-
already have a small history of a few games under their belt, but when I merged in with them, they were just starting to had gotten really big with this Gal Civ, and so that, of course, made the company grow, like pushing any envelope, and it takes off. And
yeah, I was gonna say I remember what it was now. I was leaning towards there in the beginning. By the way, my medicine has worn off, so woo,
gotcha.
fun times. Anyway,
it's going to be crazier than before.
is that
Gotcha.
basically like because that was around the time where Sid Meier's Civilizations games were coming out, and I loved that franchise, but I always wished that they would take it further. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, because you played
To
from
space.
Stone Age all the way up to modern day, and maybe a little bit into the future, but not really.
yeah,
You wanted,
You know, that
you
was
wanted
the
that
end.
sci-fi space.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So this
RTS.
game, I don't think I actually played the first one. I did play the second one, and I think I actually got the third one. And then it was during a weird point in my life when I was just like, I don't have the time to
Yeah.
learn all this. And I think it's actually the third one actually is still sitting on my shelf. I think I only played
yeah,
it once.
they are
And
extremely deep
It
It's
games, and the
so-
thought they really make you think.
I mean,
Strategy.
yeah. But not only that, just that because you designed the entire all the aspects for that race, right? Which is in that game, it was just such a cool. Like everyone had their own specific race that they picked, but that's because there were so many aspects of that race in the game. Not only the way they traded with other characters, the way their ships and architecture looked, everything was
yeah.
just sort of
It's
tied
multifaceted.
together. It was such a yeah.
So how did it work? Were there different games? This is one of the few games I did not play.
What do you mean?
So I see here I've got Galactic Civilizations 2 Dreadlords and Galactic Civilization 2 Dark Avatars. So did you buy a race? That was the game you bought?
No. It was sort of like it was very similar to Civilization, only set in space. So you had a map that was basically
What I'm saying
solar
is, when you
system
bought
or
it, did you
universe.
buy all the races or just the one?
Oh
or-
yeah, it was
Yeah.
it's just like with Civilization, where you start
Okay.
and you can play as your country of origin or whatever. So I
Okay.
could play as America, or I could play as China, or whatever. They were all these races to begin with. You got to pick which
Yeah.
one.
It's very cool. And what we did was built almost like Midnight Club, how you achieve add-ons and so
Yeah.
forth. You start with a small ship, and then once you start, terraforming and thinking, I want to win this thing, you get rewarded by being able to build your ship.
Which also it was one of those games too, where like I don't want to have to read a tutorial when I start a game.
Yeah.
That was not even remotely an option with this game. Like you had
Oh yeah.
to read at the beginning of this game, because I tried without reading, and then all of a sudden I've wasted like 6 hours and my civilization's dying. And I'm like, okay, I guess let's restart and read the tutorial. And then I just fell so deeply into it. It was insane.
It's a very passion oriented game. It's very addictive.
Oh yeah.
And it's almost mathematical. It really does stretch your brain.
Yeah. And it's very satisfying for the OCD part of me as well, where it's like I want,
Yes,
you
that
know,
is definitely you.
I want to bring each colony up to the right level, and I'm like, okay, we'll move from. I mean, it's just very.
Does that mean we're actually helping pharmaceutical companies with these games?
I would
That
say
and
yeah.
Minecraft.
In Minecraft, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Holy
gosh.
cow.
don't
Actually,
get me
you're
started
hurting
on
it
that.
because you don't need the medicine.
Yeah.
Because the games take care of that.
No.
They take care
Well.
of your OCD, or they make it worse.
Oh, they make it worse.
Okay.
Because then I start viewing everything as blocks, and I'm like, okay, well, this block needs to be over here.
So
Yeah.
the other thing is, so what is the schedule like for an artist? I mean, are you working, 40-hour, 8-hour days, or are there weeks where you're just swamped?
Well, one of the reasons why I left the industry, not only my age.
Okay.
Oh,
you're
God.
young. You're
Yeah.
young.
Well, the thing is, I'm not 18.
Okay.
And
well, none of us are 18.
That's what the new.
the norm for me
Oh man, I'm
was-
screwed in programming then.
was about 18-hour days,
Oh my gosh.
7 days a lot of the
18
time.
days.
Okay, and at the every 8th week development cycle was crunch time, approximately 2 to 3 days at our seat.
Wow.
Yeah.
That, okay.
There
Yeah.
there
that
was
puts everything in perspective.
there was
There you
one game that I worked on with like a year and a half to between year and a half and 2 year development cycle that we actually lost 7 of 9 marriages. 7 of 9, and that was how big the
my
team was.
gosh.
Gosh. And how do you do that for a year? I mean, you're talking.
Well,
is that?
That's
Yeah. How do you not just pass out? I mean.
It's
I'm just
exactly
saying.
why I'm here.
Oh,
I wanted to just get my hands down and dirty on the fundamentals of art again, and that is why I'm creating and designing custom top hats.
Yeah, because I do imagine after a certain point, it becomes like you'd rather create something that's more tangible.
Yep.
In a physical
Absolutely
aspect than just
right.
digital art. You're like,
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely
well,
right.
This is great. Don't get me wrong. It's awesome that you can produce this, but I want something a little bit more substantial. Is that sort of?
Oh, it's exactly how I felt for so many years. About the first 10, 15 years, that passion kept growing. It's amazing though now that all of these just pushing the envelope realistic games are coming about. I'm not talking like the Nintendo the Creative
Yeah.
type games, but all of these push the envelope
Yeah.
games that are really bearing
Makes
down
it
on
look
teams.
very realistic. Yeah.
It's of course veering from the creative aspect of developing for an artist, and so I saw fit. 21 years later, not only am I not 18 anymore, able to do the around the
long
clock
hours
kind of
and-
thing.
Yeah.
I'm married.
I know a few
I've got a
18-year-olds
life
that
and-
wouldn't be able to handle that schedule, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yep. Well,
Holy cow.
it is interesting. I mean, the industry behind the scenes, most people are absolutely completely clueless. They're not aware of the tension and the power that goes behind the making, and all of that tension and power is on the shoulders of the developers.
Now, are there times like in the movie industry where they have a crazy amount of shooting for 3 to 6 months, and then they're off? Did you have times where you're off for 3? No.
No,
I wouldn't
in-
imagine so, because in those times, it's because they're editing that footage that they've already,
Well-
shot for 3 months straight, and then they're putting some editing time into it. In this field, it feels like, you're not going to really...
Most companies
to the
now,
next.
well, here it is. Before the dot-com crash, not to open that wound, but before the dot-com crash, way back when, in my first game company, we were our own studio. We were a startup standalone that we were doing very well. You know, we started expanding and so forth. Then Midway merged, picked us up and so forth, and that's when we took on some of the arcade / do the home console thing for them. Any more that creative flexibility and those little studios have become almost nil, completely ruled out, because Asia is now purchasing these studios. It's very rare to be a first party.
So what comes after Galactic Civilization 2, then?
Well, I, at that point in time, was in transition, moving back to California.
Back to California.
We missed California.
So Michigan wasn't...
Wasn't
doing it for you?
The pro fishing was awesome.
Too cold?
In fact, ESPN gave me a
That's right, the
fortune.
pro fishing.
Yeah, in fact, just to wear a jersey, they gave me a fortune. I said, I'll leave that behind and just get back. And
Right. Of course.
So hard to separate the truth from the lie. I can't tell anymore.
No, that was the truth. Just kidding about that, though. Just
Okay,
kidding
so-
about that. That was the truth.
You moved back to California, and
Just
then
kidding
what
about the
company?
kidding.
What company are you with then, though?
I moved back to a studio called Collective Studios.
Okay.
And we were brought in. Actually, I was brought in at the time to be one of their seniors for Dirty Harry, and I don't even think it's on there. Yeah, Dirty Harry. So we designed that for Warner Brothers. I designed the pimp's office and.
I mean, hey,
I loved. What were you looking
somebody's.
behind you? You
Like,
looked.
see
You
if
looked
there's
behind
anyone
him.
back there. Maybe no.
Yeah,
no.
I'm
We're
afraid.
good.
I'm
The
afraid
pimp's office.
of little leprechaun pimps.
Oh.
So.
The drunken leprechaun pimp.
Yeah,
in its
they are
natural
scary.
habitat is
Oh yeah.
quite frightful. So what? So after the Dirty Harry game, then what was after that?
I don't know. I'm anchoring Lucky Charms.
Ooh, Lucky Charms.
They're always at that. Okay. Yeah. Then that was Dirty Harry.
Okay.
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 And we had a third party, which was Warner Brothers. We were working with. Well, we went through. Oh, good grief! I think 3 or 4 different producers at the time for the game. And they just couldn't get
Really? It was
a
just-
handle on butting heads and this. And Warner Brothers saw that, and so that I definitely consider an unreleased title for me, because
Oh, so it never did
Not-
get released?
another company, actually Warner Brothers Studios, I think, ended up taking it out. So, but
Take it out.
that
Take
was,
it out.
yeah, Dirty Harry took it out in the pimp's office. I don't know what this is. Oh, we were in transition at the time. Rather than shutting half the studio down, the small team that was working on the Dirty Harry franchise was brought over to start on Silent Hill.
Silent Hill. Gotcha. So you were
doing
pulled
Silent
off
Hill.
Dirty Harry to fuel my nightmares for the rest of my life. Gotcha.
Yes,
Good to-
and since I know that
Good to
now,
know.
I could just get up and go.
Oh my goodness.
It's complete. My life is complete.
Like, whew.
However, I am almost 50. Does that mean life is already...
That Doom thing. So creating Doom and creating all those skeletons and evilness wasn't enough. You're just like, let's create more and even
I
scarier.
still create them, but they're in my basement.
Whoa.
So, note to self.
I have skeletons in my closet. No. No.
Had you
It was
ever-
something that they basically just put me on. I didn't know what to expect. I really liked working on Doom.
I was gonna say, was
it's
the fact
just-
that you had worked on Doom
It was
considered at all?
It
Only or
made,
factored in?
it
Yeah.
made things a lot easier for me to transition to such an incredible game.
I could just
Man.
see that interview. So,
Like, ugh.
have you done evil skeletons? Yes, I have. Well, there you
You're
go.
the first one.
Yeah,
All
yes.
right.
Everyone else.
The
is,
incubus, the succubus.
I'm very good at evil and.
So-
You're chanting again.
Sorry.
When you worked on
sorry.
Silent Hill, what was it you did in, for the game?
Well, I created environments and props and bits and pieces. I ended up designing and creating from concept to completion all of Mission 8, which is starts at a sheriff station and then walks you basically get introduced to, I think it's 3 bosses, or I mean three evil, what were you calling them? Skeletons in the
Yes,
closet?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I introduced 3 skeletons in the closet. And so I created this entire level.
Talking about this is freaking me out. It's giving me a little anxiety.
Well, there is a little thing that'll give me anxiety just talking about here.
Well, now you have to bring it up. So,
Yeah.
What was I talking about?
what's causing you anxiety?
Yes. In fact, I was working on part of that Mission 8 was down in a sewer system. And I remember I had to, artists have to make sure there's no seams and walls that you could see out to nowhere.
Right.
Nowhereville. So I was checking. Well, I had created this mud effect that was really viscous mud, really watery mud, but it had multi layers, and I wanted to give it kind of that rainbow-esque look in certain areas, like oil.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, I was looking down at everything, and we would have to export every day. We'd export our work through the little web of design other designers at their desks and so forth that would need to see my new environment and test my environment with their entity or whatever. So here I am. You have to import a couple times a day. I imported. Never really freaked out at anything, maybe the little bush here and there or whatever. Well, here I'm down the sewers, and this new character is introduced to me. I'm tired. It was dark. It's night. And I'm doing this just checkmoding stuff. All of a sudden, this thing called the Lurker, which has a face with like eyes. Its eyes were teeth like this. Comes right at me as I was testing this thing. I flew back and I fell on my back. The entire company was just surrounding me going, yeah, that's what we want in this game. And I said, you know what, I'm out of here.
I feel like it would be like a general rule of thumb when testing Silent Hill games. Maybe all lights should be on. General rules for testing a scary
right,
game.
right.
Don't set that environment.
Don't test them in the
but,
dark
yeah.
alone by yourself, headphones on.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you hearing this out there?
Because that's exactly what I would expect to happen.
Yeah, it happened. And
So did they give you parameters, like when building the level?
Is
Did
that
you
the
start
lurker?
here?
that's the Lurker right there.
Oh my gosh, no.
There you go.
Did they say, all right, your level has to start at this place here, end at this place there, and did you have freedom to design the level how you felt, or?
Oh. Oh, it's literally.
It-
You just showed
that-
me a picture. It's literally like just creeping out of the water.
That is right after it popped out at me.
Oh.
And that is the mud I was working on and I was talking to you about right there. But to answer your question, which was
I think to add on to Polly's question, or maybe rephrase it if it's all right with you, Polly,
Yeah.
is basically like, was there a environment that you had restraints in as far as designing it? Like, for instance, you couldn't go too far to the left because there was another level that was going to be there. Or
absolutely. I was
that sort of-
basically given scale, like start to finish my level parameters, and then I would build down or up and around and so forth, based on the beginning and end,
Gotcha.
which were both sewer
interesting.
holes. In the very end, when you climb up the sewer and get to the main street again. So this
So you had a point A and a point B, and you could do
yep.
whatever you wanted in between,
between
so long as you
those, yeah.
ended at
essentially
point
I
B.
could.
Very cool.
Yeah, I had to
That is really
create.
cool.
I had to create the lighting. I had to create the effects, the visual effects. The reason I really can't play first-person games anymore is I will
because
go
that
up to
lurker?
no, yeah,
That haunts your dreams.
Yeah.
Now? Is that what-
yeah. I can't sleep anymore. I haven't slept in 5 years,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah. What was
Sorry,
the question
reason,
again?
The
No,
reason
just
you
kidding.
can't play first person.
No,
games
the
anymore?
is because I will get into an environment on any game and go up to a wall and study the artwork.
Really?
I can't play. I have to be an artist to study.
So
By
it's
that time,
really
I'm
kind of-
fragged or whatever.
Yeah, like for instance, when I was younger, man, I didn't want to work at Taco Bell because I really liked Taco Bell, and I didn't
Yes.
want to.
And you would just stare at
Like
it.
if I worked there, you know what I mean, then I would know how they make the Taco
Right,
Bell, and I'm
right.
like, I don't want that for myself.
The
so
illusion
Yeah.
will be shattered.
that's kind of like
Right.
with you in first person shooters. You can't do it
Yeah.
anymore because you have been in that process.
Yeah, and you know, this was kind of a cutting edge game engine at the time.
Yeah.
It was a newer game engine that we were developing on. So, you know, Konami really wanted us to push the visual and
Gotcha.
physics envelope and so forth. So I would come up with multiple layers of wall that, you know, the player would never really see because
that
they're interested
way-
in getting through and not getting killed.
Yeah.
So
oh, my wife.
I have
That's my wife. She'll
She'll
look
just
at
stay
your wall.
there. She'll
Yeah.
stay there.
these walls in here, these columns, have multiple pass animating water effects that come
Oh,
down.
man, that's cool.
And so I set up the lights. So when you're walking through and you're static, waiting for something, if you do see one of those walls, you'll catch specularity on it
Really?
that
That's cool.
actually moves.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I really wanted to push the envelope there, as well as the fear factor in colors and lighting on this level. To lead the player with light is basically what you're doing in an atmosphere to freak people out,
Yeah.
because you're concentrating on that light that's leading you. You're not looking in the dark above you at what's going to drop down, and those were the needlers.
Well, and that is just such an interesting and sort of creative
Just
way
the
to look
names
at it,
just
to
freak me
where
out, right.
you're not focusing on the negative aspects or the restrictions of the environment that you're in. Instead of saying, "Oh man, how am I going to make this level interesting?" when all it is a tunnel and a sewer, you're saying, "Well, what are some of the things I can use to my advantage?"
Yeah.
Which is leading that player by light.
Absolutely.
And
Were you ever restricted by space, or as in they were like, okay, you can't do too many graphics because we don't
Absolutely.
have that much room?
That's true.
Absolutely, and I think I touched on limitations in the video game industry versus films
Right.
earlier.
Did you ever
Um,
get, like, if you have a start and an end, did you ever get halfway through and you're like, crap, I used all my space on the front end?
No, because I didn't have the flexibility of the time to do that.
Gotcha.
It's all
Gotcha.
pre-planning and understanding the limitations and abilities per level. Like lights are very expensive, so I can't put multiple Omni lights throughout a hallway. If I wanted more texture freedom, I'm going to have to only put a tiny little light way out where. It's a balancing act of what you want bang for the buck.
Well, man, if lights are expensive, then Silent Hill must have been the cheapest
Yes.
game.
You got tons of
Face of the
graphics
planet.
because you only put one light.
I think there's only one light in that entire game, so you know.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and then you have the physics parameters. How many walls are you going to use that are invisible over certain walls that you're going to have to knock into? Because if you have just a box around a rounded column like this, that box is going to affect the not only the fear factor, but the actual overall playability and quality of that environment. They're going to get hooked on that corner in a rounded area.
Right. So if you walk, you can go around it
Gotcha.
rather than
So I
you're
have
stuck.
I would have to build vertical polygons to accommodate for that realistic, scuffing against a wall or something, and that's going to detract from, an overall layer of texture. Or a light or something. So it's this continual balancing act.
It's fascinating. Just 2 hours ago, we
Yeah.
were talking about 8 different colors on a football field, and now we're talking about
Layers upon layers.
the
of-
invisibleness of squares rather than circle.
Man.
That's
And then
fascinating.
if I wanted to, I could animate the light, but that's considering, not having a lot of static wow in that room.
like a
Right,
like a
animate the
hanging
light,
like
yeah.
a hanging light bulb that's
Yeah, you could. I could
gotcha.
move the ambient. At the same time, I could put a flicker effect on it, but I have to basically adjust all the parameters at the same time.
Gotcha. So the less light is basically the less detail that's going to show up because it's darker.
Right.
So that's
And-
less processing power
well
that's
the
needed.
physics of shadowing and stuff
Yeah.
along those lines.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And
Interesting.
in fact, you could actually pull. I forget what it was called. It's like negative light, so you could set up a light parameter that's an actual pooled shadow. And if you walk through certain areas, you're gonna be hit by more of a shadow. That is absolutely eerie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's like an anomaly on its own to freak people out.
Now, I've only had about 5 minutes of this.
And you're all done.
Now, what's
We're finished here. Bye. Just kidding.
what is the game? Never mind.
Silent Hill?
The game engine I've worked on.
U-
Unity.
Unity.
Unity
Okay.
is the one I've worked with. So I've had a little bit of, I went through a tutorial of creating a first-person shooter in about an hour. But we're talking just squares and, stick figures running around. So I kind of understand a little bit of this. But, I'm assuming,
Ooh.
but the engines,
Mike, the programmer over here. No, I'm joking. I'm sorry. I knew it was going to be.
each white hot hate.
I took an hour course on how to make stick
I don't
figure
even know
shooting
my
games.
no. But I'm just saying, what engines did you use? Because obviously, Entity is an okay engine for amateurs, but
We would
did you
use.
know?
Well,
You know?
they said it was like a
Several-
revolutionary engine, right?
Well,
The only one I really know is it real time?
it's
or
Unreal.
Unreal, yeah.
That was the game engine I used for the bulk of my 3D modeling years. Was Unreal because it was able to handle a lot of things at one time. It had just a multifaceted brain. Unity is fantastic because it can work on physics simulations, whereas something like Unreal, the artists need to set up on their own
the
a lot of the physics.
Really?
And that's how it was, prior to, of course, some of the 3D game engines that were in existence in our the time between 2D and 3D. These companies were just amazing. id Doom, the original Doom, we were actually working on Troy Aikman football and beta testing the original Doom with id.
That's such a huge leap.
Golly,
Yeah. And so I was seeing this incredible game engine. At the same time, I was working in 8 pixels, and I'm beta testing what is to come,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I'm looking forward to it, and that's all I could do at that time by beta testing this thing.
So what's your favorite? What was your favorite game, and what was your favorite thing to do? You don't. I mean, if that's too hard to choose.
No, not at all.
Troy Aikman football.
Favorite game? Yeah, I love grass. I mean the field and lines. Field and lines. I didn't say that. Good grief, no one would have known if I didn't point it out. Anyhow, it's okay. Yeah.
It's hard to pick, huh?
No, I forgot the question. No, I'm just kidding. I would have to say Hydro Thunder.
Really?
The boats. I rigged a lot of their animations, and that was sort of unheard of for artists back then. To be able to understand the development of a bone hierarchy structural system and so forth. So the programmers usually did a lot of that stuff. But it wasn't only the creative flexibilities of the texture maps, the boats themselves, but it was all this next generation that I'm finally getting tuned into that I wasn't able to on previous
Gotcha.
games.
So it was just kind of like the right time at the right place.
Yeah, and in our little team of like however many, 7 people, if I recall, there were only like 5 artists. It's amazing. It was just a monster of a game, but the time just flew by because it was so creative, and that's the kind of artwork I love. And that's when it's going to be a good title. It's because the artistic passion's definitely going to show the minutes, hours, and months past.
The other question I had was, we've all played some games where the
One or
art
two.
looked really good, huh?
I've played 1 or 2.
That the art is really good, but the gameplay sucks.
Yeah.
These are all great games. I don't know if there was one like that, but it kind of sucks. You put this. And the only one I can remember is, do you guys remember a game called Lost Planet?
Yes.
Yeah,
Vaguely, yes.
beautiful.
Looked great.
but it sucked
Yeah.
so bad. It just, you didn't even want to play it. So, was there ever anything like that? You don't have to say. It's horrible to be like that.
Well, and
game.
that's got to be
No.
frustrating for an artist.
Yeah, it's gotta be
because
frustrating
Yeah,
for
yeah,
artists to
things
put
that you have control over.
you put all this in, and
Time,
the
work,
people don't
passion.
even want to get past the first level because it just sucks.
Well,
because the gameplay's bad.
the last, I'd say the last 3 years at Midway, I was downsized along with 20 other seniors that I grew up with in the industry. 40s before Christmas. They just
Ooh,
gone.
nice.
Yeah, it was Merry Christmas. Anyhow, not to defame the company at all. It was a phenomenal company to work for. The titles that I worked on there, I can look back and only imagine people being able to work on those. But the only game that I had ever worked on that I had put my heart and soul into, created 100 vehicles for the game, was unreleased. It was called Crank the Weasel. And
told me about this.
It was like a kind of a dirtied up version of Toontown, but a 1920s, and completely creative.
You said it was.
I don't know.
You said it was like a kart racer, right?
It was the main character was Crank,
Oh yeah.
and he was the weasel. You started downtown, worked up to midtown, and then your final level was uptown, and that was all posh. But all he did was pickpocket it, and to get his way. And there's steam. I created and built the steamroller. That's just massive, and all these vehicles. I'll have to put them up sometime. All these vehicles we're just so creative, and at the very end of the project, the CEO of the corporation, I won't say his name or anything, but CEO of the corporation somehow just the company. And so our 3 years of this beautiful,
That's gotta be.
it
awful,
was
yeah.
it was like a record breathtaking, jaw-dropping 3D game, and all of these senior people were building it with the same passion, and it showed. And so that is the one game, to answer your question, the one game I built up on, and then it was like this huge life dump.
How far in the development cycle was it along whenever they tanked it? Was it like almost done?
It's about a month and a half, 2 months.
Wow.
And it was almost a 3.5 year cycle.
Wow.
That was unheard of for a game at that time.
Like,
Yeah.
why not? And I'm sure there's complexities there that I don't know about, but why not? Why wouldn't you just sell it maybe to another developer?
Well,
'Cause
unbelievably.
it's almost done. You know what I mean? It's like, man.
I don't know if you remember the collapse of Midway, but there was some
No.
trading and wacky nonsense going on, and once the company shares, dropped to a very low level, it was like negative penny. Is that like a black hole of finances? No, but when that happened, the company, of course, just shut down.
Yeah.
And it was this beautiful empire of a company.
Yeah.
I worked with Bally Midway, and Bally was responsible, and Williams, Bally and Williams were responsible for some of the most awesome pinball games. And so being able to work for a company with a history so rich like this, and then be, kind of shut down like that, was really, really bad.
Yeah, because
It was really, really bad, and the not only I felt it, but a lot of the senior people that grew up in that company were just what on earth. But your question, wouldn't someone just buy?
Yeah, right. Or
Once the company left, Microsoft bought the exclusive rights of all the names of our games that we created. And so,
so there's still hope, maybe that one day.
which is right about the time Xbox is coming out.
Yeah.
That was a probably
Yeah.
pretty smart move for them.
yeah. And so they saw fit, and that was very, very smart of them. And I'm glad they did, because they're not some little crooked company
by
that's
night,
gonna take a nosedive and we're lost altogether.
Right.
These are our heart and passion, and just seeing as though such a great company like Microsoft purchased some up, I'm just really, really,
Yeah.
really happy about it. I'm not happy about the collapse, of course.
But happy that at least that work's going to be.
It was a little bit of a push for me to know that those titles, the names of the titles, would live on within a good company.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
Any other questions? One last real quick question, like Breaking Bad. I would watch Breaking Bad, and I'll get to, this is a weird
Like,
segue.
wow, yeah.
Breaking Bad.
Do you like Breaking Bad?
I would watch it in big strides, and I don't know if you guys know anything about Breaking Bad, but it's about a guy who's okay, and he gets worse and worse through this. And I remember I'd watch it.
He means like he starts as a good guy,
Kind of, yeah.
like a morally sort of good guy, and then as usually the protagonist
gets better
gets
over time.
better, not in Breaking Bad.
It's the exact
It gets
opposite.
worse and
it's
worse
this
and
kind
worse.
of reverse thing. But I would watch it, I would binge watch it, and I would be like, I just felt kind of
Dirty.
and kind of depressed
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Working on a game like Silent Hill, where you're just dealing with, and Doom as well. Did you ever work on it like day in, day out, in these dark, evil,
absolutely.
and you'd feel it?
In fact, great question. When I was in crunch mode on Doom 64, very, very rarely I went home and got a deep sleep. I was, luckily I lived
nice.
fairly close.
Yeah.
But really burdensome on families.
Yeah.
But here I am. I'm working. I go home to take basically a nap, and I just immediately fell asleep. And then waking up, and I couldn't do anything but crouch up in bed. And something hurt so bad that I nudged my wife to wake up. And what's going on? She's all, okay, I'm taking you to the ER. Well, I had an hour to live.
What?
It was from this. It was from the industry. I can't mention names or anything, but
Fell into a conspiracy theory.
yeah. Well,
Whoa.
and this again is touching on the fact that it's pretty hardcore. Things happen that that others don't see if they haven't been inside. So I went to this hospital, found out that the hot dogs and pizza and Coke during crunch mode and everything gave me a stomach issue, and I bled out, and I was an hour away from losing over a quarter of my entire blood supply. And it was I would have nightmares of.
I'm sorry, I'm a hypochondriac, and now
that's great.
Now I know.
I would have nightmares while working on Doom. Didn't like thinking about all the darknesses I was going to put right there on the table in front of everybody. But at the same time, I was able to use my skills as an artist again, and just show my passion through the walls, the doors, the environment.
So it's worth it because you get to make that make that vision. I say like it's worth it, but you know what I mean. Like I obviously
Bleeding out your stomach. That's totally worth it.
Sorry, yeah.
For our pleasure. Thank you for almost dying for our
As
pleasure.
I said that, I'm like,
Hold on a second. I've got to
worth it
adjust the
isn't the,
dial on my IV drip here, but
but yeah. Oh my gosh. That's
yeah.
insane.
So I mean, that's my case scenario. I mean,
That's great.
there's a
Mike
guy
really
that
is.
was, and I don't
What
want to
did this
make
feeling
this
feel like?
industry out.
Don't.
I don't want to make this industry out to
Yeah.
be
Oh no,
horrible.
No.
yeah.
It's
yeah.
a fantastic monster of cool stuff. But it really, if you don't take care of yourself, it really can catch up with you, and push you real hard.
Did you ever have a nightmare and then wake up and be
And
like,
use it in the game.
"Oh, that's great," and then use it in the game?
Because then it really is a game fueled by, nightmares. Which
If
Would
you
be
don't
perfect.
remember, that's fine. It could be plausible. Let's just say it could be plausible.
it's
You know
kinda
what?
one of those chicken or the egg things where did
Yeah.
the game fuel the nightmare or
True.
did the nightmare fuel the
True.
game? Maybe
Yeah,
you're not sure.
it might have. I have probably 20% of the content in my dreams leads to the creativity in my hats
Yeah?
and
Oh, the
video
hats.
game
Still.
and video game work.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm not just this creative guy painting all the time. I will reflect and
You remember your dreams? Do you remember your dreams?
Well, I
Never.
will some of them. However,
I do.
I have a pencil. I would have a
dreams
pencil
early,
and a
yeah.
sketch pad right next to me, and I would jot it down. So if I go, oh man, oh yeah, and then those little few notes would stimulate the colors and the whatever. So if I wouldn't have jotted it down, of course, I
Probably wouldn't
wouldn't
have,
have. It wouldn't have been vivid
Because
enough.
I was gonna say I never remember my dreams ever, and there's been like a few times where I'll wake up and remember the fact that I have dreamed, but
But you
it's-
don't remember the content.
don't remember what it was. Yeah,
Good
like
or
I'll
bad,
wake up
you
and be
wake
like,
up.
oh yeah, I remember.
I do not
dreaming
remember
something.
pretty much. I don't remember anything.
Like literally,
It's like I just ceased to exist for those
Mhm.
8 hours.
and then as soon as I wake up, oh, okay, now. And really,
I
the
do.
only time that I really dream hard is when I sleep a long, long time, which has not happened in
All the
quite a
time.
while actually now. Believe it or not, I know you think all I do is sleep because you can never get a hold of me,
Never.
but you know,
Never
yeah.
at all. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I was more serious in this podcast.
I know.
than-
Yeah,
have you noticed
no,
that?
No,
Let's
I
not
like
get a
it.
little more
I like it.
serious.
Fantastic.
it's
Yeah, it's
sort
okay.
of mirrored your
It's good.
mirrored your career because it came into a more serious sort of dark game there towards the end.
Yeah,
So
well, the next couple games will change that approach.
So, obviously, you've changed obviously the stress of this industry has changed you to go other ways and be more peaceful. Would you ever? Well, more. Well, I mean, not
Less
dying,
stressful?
not dying,
a
of stress.
tyrant or something like that. Yeah.
But would you ever, if the stress level was different, would you continue on?
Yeah, if maybe the hours were.
As I've told quite a few people, if things wouldn't have gone sour at Midway, those 10 years would have turned into 20 plus at that company. It was a phenomenal company. I was with phenomenal people. The artistic abilities of the staff members, the artists, were just amazing. So yeah, I definitely would have stayed. The hours that I spent on that Weasel game, well, those flew by so fast, and the passion was just so rock solid that I would definitely still have been on that project to date, and then some.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I can't really. I'm sorry. It's also like super late, so I realize we're also getting more somber. But I think
True,
we're all
true.
kind of like.
Well, go ahead and plug your stuff one more time.
What's your website?
What's your website?
So I know it starts with a www.
Oh, I was gonna plug something in.
Yeah.
Do you know my password? Oh, no, just to plug.
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, it's www. dot
Sorry.
Wow.
DrOddworld.com. And
Just
you could,
like it sounds.
Yep, and you could also reach me at my phone. At my phone, just show
I don't know.
show up at my phone, and I'll see you in person. It's 858-344-64.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, say that again. I just totally interrupted you. It is
858 area code,
Gotcha.
and I do take texts.
Cool.
858 area code 344-6483.
That is.
Take text.
Oh,
Do
my
you
word.
accept text?
And show up at my phone.
Oh man. And we are.
We got a bunch of stuff. You can find us username nerd everywhere on Twitter, Facebook.
Don't put everywhere.
We have 3 YouTube channels: username nerd news, username nerd games, username nerd comics. We have hang on. We have an Instagram. We
Yep.
have a
Wait for it.
Friendster. We
Tumblr.
have
We don't have a Friendster.
MySpace. You can find us.
We do not have
Username Nerd on MySpace.
Golly.
We have a Wikipedia page.
It's definitely late.
I think that's it.
Yes, it is.
You can also. Oh, sorry. Our phone number is 913
Good job.
373
No, 717.
nerd.
Nerd.
I was,
Oh my word.
Jiminy
That was close.
Christmas.
Oh, my
I
nerd.
was close.
Golly.
Oh my nerd.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yes.
it. You can also comment at comments@username.com. We're not using that one anymore.
No, yeah, we are.
Okay,
Comments at
good.
username
Well,
nerd.com.
yeah. Comment.
And
Comment
that's
away.
pretty much it. I'm
But we
taking
prefer you
this
to
over.
call.
Oh my gosh, I'm taking this over.
It's probably a good idea.
You ever want to come back? We're gonna invite you back. You got any topics?
I'd love to be
We'll talk to you about some topics and
ice cream and little plastic animals.
I like it. That's my
Okay.
favorite podcast. Yeah.
So, and
I think together we should all say it together. You ready?
Oh my gosh, I hate
This will be nope. Fine. Stay nerdy. That's
no,
it.
no. We're all say it together.
All right, you ready? 1, 2.
Okay, stop. Don't go to the next YouTube video or channel or skip or don't do anything. real quick, 5 seconds. We have 3 different channels. Please subscribe to them. Username Nerd News, username Nerd Comics, username Nerd Games. We have separated them out into 3 ones. Choose all of them or just one to subscribe to. You'd love it. I promise you, we'll give you great content. It'll show up in your feed. You'll love it. Just real quick click. It doesn't take but a few seconds. You'd be awesome. Thank you. I mean, you're really awesome. Thank you.